Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to a brand new F1 Esports video. This is round 8 of the 2021 F1 Esports series and we are driving around Zandvoort in the Netherlands for the second time in F1 Esports. Last year we finished second here and this time I'm gonna try and change it up, but as you guys might know, we have not had a very good last race, so yeah, we're just not looking very strong for this event, to be honest. As this is event 3 of the F1 Esports series. There are 3 races per event, and this is the second race of the third event. In the background you can hear my engineer talk, nothing important going on this outlap. Here are the standings after Portimao. Sorry for the low quality, I couldn't find any official graphics, so got this up. Lucas leading by 12 points to us after his Portimao win, and Freddy Rasmussen 1 point behind us. So yeah, not a very good last race from us, not gonna lie. As Lucas won very dominantly, one of the most dominant F1 Esports races driven by Lucas in Portimao. And we just struggled in the midfield, but we're looking to change that this time around. We have already done a lap on the medium compound, P4, so that's not too bad. As per usual, we're very decent on the harder compounds, but then once the softs go on, we tend to struggle a little bit more in qualifying. So hope to turn that around for this race, but currently we are P4, but we still need to improve at least half a second, I reckon, on this set of softs. So we're looking for a 109.4, I reckon, around here in Q1, and that's not easy. Q1 is usually pretty hard to get right because of the low grip conditions. So yeah, everyone on their first soft runs in this session. You can see into turn 1 we're straight away gaining quite a bit of time to our medium run, almost 1/10 gain, and with so many corners 1/10 is a lot. So I reckon through the fast section we're probably gaining a little bit less in terms of time to the mediums, as that's just how the compounds work. Harder compound usually works a bit faster, or a little bit better in the fast corners, but still getting a little bit of time to there. 24.255 per sector, not too bad. And middle sector is where I struggle the most in practice compared to everyone else, as there's always a practice session before the qualifying as well, which is not streamed, so no one really sees that, but you can see for that left-hander we didn't really gain a lot of time. So 2.7 tenths up on Freddy Rasmussen, his medium lap time, and go into the final corner. Not going to be a crazy good lap. You can see we're only a half second up on our medium lap, and it's going to be a 109.5. So we probably have to go out again. Marcel Kiever 109.491 goes to the top of the table, and we do a 0.564. Very short track time-wise again, quite a lot of corners, but that means it's going to be very close in the qualifying. And you can see on our final Q1 lap, we're up by quite a bit, 1.5 tenths up on our previous soft run. Bit of understeer in that final corner, which was not very nice. But 1.3 tenths up as we come across the line. That should put us through into Q2 pretty easily. As I said before, it's so close that 1.2 tenths gained us 11 positions, which is crazy. So as you can see there, our teammate Danny Moreno going into Q2 as well in P3, and we were 1.3 tenths off randomly. We can see my 109.437 is P7, and then Patrick Sipos, who is only 4 hundredths behind, is in P14, and that's just crazy. But we did use 2 new sets of tires for that Q1 session, and this is our first, oh no, actually my second used tire run in Q2, putting us up to P3, so that's pretty solid. But we definitely have to improve by quite a bit for this one, which is the only new set of tires we have for this Q2 session. And this one is going to count, and it's going to be so important. As I said, every 100th is going to count in this session, and we just need to get the most out of the car every single lap we're doing, because otherwise we're just not making it into Q3. This is definitely the closest F1 Esports season ever in terms of qualifying, and that just puts the pressure on everyone. You see 24.129 per sector, which is very solid, but the middle sector is where we tend to struggle, and couldn't really put my finger on why, but 1/10 up as we go into the left hand there. And we need to gain a lot more time than 1/10 if we want to get into Q3. You can see we've already dropped to P10 and the session only just finished, so this is going to be such an important lap. Final sector is usually where we're pretty strong at, but I got a massive slide on that exit. 1.3 up going into the final corner. We got a front end pretty nicely, but a bit too wide on exit, and that definitely cost us. And as I said earlier on, every 100 is going to count in this session. We're dropping down to P13 across the line. It's going to be a 109.323. Is this going to be enough though? You can see we 200s down on Brendan Lee at the end of this lap, and we're only P7 with still two people to finish this session. So we are safe by the skin of the teeth. You can see Daniel Haddad is still finishing his lap, but we are safe. Daniel Haddad across the line, P11, and the margins are just crazy. You can see if we would have gone 300 slower, we would have been P14, and that's just F1 Esports for you. P6 to P14 within half a tenth. So it's just absolutely madness. P1 to P15 in that session was within 2/10. On a track with so many corners. I know it's short, but so many corners on this track. So many corners to make up time, and it's so close. First used tire run in Q3. As once again, we're only gonna have one new set of tires. For this Q3 session, you get a new set for Q3 to use. And we're using that at the very end, of course, and that basically means everyone is only going to get one attempt in Q3. So once again, the pressure is going to be on. This lap needs to be perfect. We need to get the most of the car out of the car, and no mistakes allowed. Basically, one invalidation, and that is quali over. You can see starting our Q3 lap, we're P10. So yeah, if we don't get a lap in, we're just P10. That's it. On that exit, lost a bit of time. You can see we were 1/10 up, but lost probably half a tenth on that exit compared to a used tire run. So that's a pretty big mistake. 24.164, pretty poor first sector, and we went faster in Q2. So we need to make up time somewhere, and you can see front is biting nicely through there, and you can see how much time that gained us. Through the next left-hander, DRS open. And this is going to be one of the most crucial final sectors of my F1 Esports career, because we're 12 points behind Lucas Blakely, who has not really made any mistakes in qualifying this year. So we need to get a good lap time on the board here into the final corner, big understeer, and that would have definitely cost us time with 3.4 up. Freddie Rasmussen goes P1 with a 109.141 across the line. It's only a 0.231. A 10 down on Freddie Rasmussen, and our teammate Danny Moreno jumps us across the line. Barry Borman goes pole position, and Lucas Blakely goes P3, and that's a big blow in the championship, as Josh, in P10. Josh, 100% Q3 rate so far this season, so he's one of the only ones together with Lucas Blakely and Barry Borman to get 100% Q3 rate. But once again, just an average qualifying for me. Our championship rivals are P3, P2, and we're down in P7. So this is just not good, is it? And heading into the race now, you can see I've underfueled the car quite a bit, but I expect to be in traffic this whole race. So that's why I've gone so low on fuel to what we usually go. But I'm going for, once again, an aggressive strategy, starting on the softs, and then try to undercut some people onto the mediums, just like we did Portimao. But in Portimao we failed to do so, because we just got short. Every time other people came out of the pits, they came out just ahead of us, and that's just costing so much time, because you're just failing to undercut other people, and then you're not gaining any track position, and you've got worse tires. So we hope we can do better this time. That's the aim, at least. You can see David Nitsa, Brendan Lee behind us on the mediums, and a bit of a shocker up ahead. Lucas Blakely in P3, starting on the mediums, and I was just so surprised, happy, because I just didn't understand the strategy, why and how this was going to work for him, because you're going to have to do at least 15 laps on the mediums to try and get that strategy to work if you want to win the race, and that usually is just not good around here. But anyway, let's head into the race now. Off the line we go, and it's a pretty good start. Our teammate Danny Moreno got a brilliant start as well into turn 1. We're gonna go around the outside of Joni Tormela, who is boxed in behind our teammate Danny Moreno, who squeezes us a little bit. But I had to push here to try and make up ground as fast as I can. You can see Lucas Blakely just ahead of us. And now off that banked left-hander, I decided to turn off my overtake button and let Danny go ahead here. I didn't want to fight too hard and potentially lose points for the constructors, because we're not just in a driver's fighting for a driver's championship, we're also fighting for the constructors championship, of course. So we need to take it careful with our teammate, of course. There's Danny having a little look down the inside of Lucas, and as you can see in qualifying, the pace difference between mediums and softs is not that big over one lap, and that's why I want to start on the softs. I felt like the mediums are probably a better race tire around here, simply because the gap is already so small, and then or the tire delta is so small, and then over a few laps the delta fades away, of course. So if we want to go for an undercut, it's probably this strategy, because medium to soft you have to pit so early that you'll probably have no tires left at the end. So that's why I was so surprised with Lucas' strategy. But now on to all the way into lap 4, purple first sector. We've got a fast lap of the race as well. And I remember at this point I told the team someone has to box. I really want to box this lap to try and go for an undercut on everyone ahead of me, as I was just struggling on the softs. As you can hear I'm not sure if you guys can hear him, but my engineer said Danny is boxing opposite to Patrick Siepels. And yeah, as you can see here, Patrick is staying out, so our teammate is boxing, and that was a bit frustrating for me, as I really want to box that lap and go for the undercut on everyone had, but we couldn't. And now Joni Tormela behind us has boxed as well, so he's gonna undercut us definitely, because yeah, he just regenerates so much ERS as well in the pit box that
ERS regenerates 29%.
That he's always gonna get you on the outlap, no matter what you do, really. So at this point I felt like I could stay out, but as you can see on the minimap, behind Joni Tormela there's an AlphaTauri and a Red Bull, so if I stay out any longer they will undercut me as well, probably. So I don't really have a choice here than to pit, as my race engineer is pretty soft, so I can't really hear him well. But we did went green again, but the people who have pitted will go purple, because that medium tire is just really good on that out lap and the first lap. So I'm gonna box this lap and put on a brand new set of mediums. There are no pit lane wide line rules in F1 Esports, so we can cross them on the pit entry and pit exit. Freddie Rasmussen, the net race leader, I think he was, when he boxed onto the mediums as well. So he's going pretty early, but he has to cover off the undercut from our teammate Danny Moreno, of course. And coming out of the pit, you can see Joni Tormela is right there, which is a bit frustrating. You can see Danny Moreno undercut us by, even though he was ahead already, he still went like 1 second faster on that lap at least. So we need to try and get past Joni Tormela on this lap, because this lap he won't have DRS from anyone ahead, so that's the easiest way to overtake someone. If someone boxes and comes out ahead of him, then overtaking is going to be so much tougher, because he'll have DRS as well. So yeah, it's kind of on this lap or never. It's funny how me and Joni always somehow come across each other in almost every race. Especially when I'm in the midfield, because usually Joni's always around it. P6, P5, always picking up the points for AlphaTauri. He's just very solid when it comes down to consistent point scoring. So whenever I'm in the midfield, he's right there and I always come across him. But now we're going to turn on the overtake button, turn on the DRS and use our battery. You see Danny Moreno purple there, and Barry Borman has boxed as well onto the mediums. And it's going to come out right ahead of us, or 6 tenths ahead of us actually. And we need to try and stay within his DRS maybe overtake him, but he has that 2-lap fresher tire advantage, of course. And Lucas Blakely still out on the mediums, of course. I expect him to stay out at least another 8 laps on the set of mediums, because that's just the way to go if you're on an ultimate strategy. Purple first sector because we had a DRS and we used a lot of our battery, of course. And turning on the DRS, purple first sector. I think we have a good chance of getting fastest lap here, actually. You see on that middle split, half second up. And we're right with Barry Borland going into the final sector, who probably has quite a bit more grip on that new set of mediums, but not using his battery probably as much. Sipos has boxed, and I want to come out ahead because that's just so crucial, and that's why I'm using my battery so much on this lap in the slipstream. And we're gonna go fastest lap in this race, but this is gonna be enough to undercut Patrick Sipos. He's coming out just ahead of us, fighting Barry Borland, and that's just so frustrating because we went for an aggressive undercut and we just have not undercut anyone. So yeah, we've got the worst tires, and then we also didn't gain anything with it. So that's just so frustrating. On to lap 9 now. Lucas Blakely has boxed at the end of lap 8 for a set of softs, and I was just so confused. And he comes out just ahead of us as well, so that's even more frustrating. Even if he did come out behind us, to be fair, he will probably overtake us because new softs versus 5 lap old mediums. The softs will just destroy me on the first lap, so it's frustrating, but in the end of the day I don't think it really mattered. If he did come out behind us, I would have probably fought him really hard because he is our championship rival and we need to try and beat him. But you can see our teammate Daniel Moreno boxed 1 lap earlier than us and he is in a net P2 at the moment, and that just shows the margins in F1 Esports. You know, it's so close that one small mistake, strategy-wise or driving-wise, is so costly, and it is frustrating, but it's important I minimize the damage and maximize this race from here on. You know, I'm recharging my battery at this point, as the Ferraris are of course on the ultimate strategy as well, and they are going for softs. You can see Brandon Lee has boxed very early as well. I'm just so confused why they're doing this. Probably to try and somewhat have good track position, but I don't really see the point of it, to be honest. Might as well stay out if you start on the mediums. And now you can see Brandon Lee on that set of softs in P11. He is gaining really fast, and this is why I'm recharging my battery, because I want to be able to defend from him. The softs are not a good race tire compared to the mediums. Well, they are really fast, but of course if I manage to keep Brandon maybe 5 laps behind me, we might be able to just stay ahead the whole race, you know. And that's why I'm recharging my battery to defend from him, because I'm not planning to make this easy for him. And you can see David Initza now in P9 there. Everyone has boxed now as the last Alpine boxes. And you can see I'm going for a move on Patrick Sipos, because that's our only defense from Brandon Lee here. I'm gonna go down the inside of Patrick Sipos into turn 1. Bit of a tap, but nothing major, no damage. And into turn 2 he squeezes a bit, turns in on us. Luckily no damage done there. Brandon is trying to have a look down the inside on that left-hander. And you can fairly say this is turning into quite the dogfight in that midfield. Which, you know, the racing is so much harder in the midfield, because if you're in the lead, you've got no one ahead of you. You know, you just have to focus on the person behind you. And here it's just, you have to focus on the guy ahead of you, but at the same time you cannot let the guy behind you pass. So you're really reliant on what the guy ahead of you is doing to defend from the guy behind you, which just makes it so much harder. But now you can see Brandon is right with us, and we almost have no battery left in there. You can see 25%, and we've got a big straight coming up, so it all depends how much Brandon is going to have on this exit. We're going to turn on the overtake and try to tuck in the slipstream of Patrick Sipos. You can see Brandon is pushing it with the battery, and it's going to go down the inside into turn 1. But we managed to stay around the outside. He taps us a bit, just like we had with Patrick last lap. We managed to just stay ahead this time. But once again, we've got pretty much no battery left, as we are well under 10% now. On to the end of lap 18 then. Bit of oversteer, and Brendan definitely would have seen that. And is going to turn the overtake button definitely again. And we're going to for a move on Patrick, who turns on the overtake as well. But now Brendan, just a slightly more battery, into turn 1 we go. And I got hit a little bit from behind. And yeah, just messed up my corner completely. Hence why I pushed Brendan wide. I got hit on the apex from David. Looking back at it from David's onboard, there was a little bit of a lag bubble, what caused the tap, which caused to unsettle my car and run wide. So that's unfortunate, because I never want to push anyone wide, but me and David having lag bubbles and things is quite the couple. But yeah, it's happened quite a few times already. On to the end of lap 19. Joni Tormela going for a move on us into turn 1. You can see he's having a little look, but we are just ahead into turn 1. As Patrick is trying to make it hard for David in this race. Moves over pretty late. And once again there's a little tap. Luckily the damage model on F1 2021 is quite forgiving, otherwise we would have probably already had like 3 times damage this race. But that's just a dogfight in that midfield. And now on to the final lap. We're gonna have quite a run on Patrick Sipos, because we have quite a lot of battery, because CE is flashing and he doesn't have any slipstream into turn 1. So we're gonna go for the move down the inside of turn 1. He moves over quite late, and we're gonna go down the inside here. And once again, a bit of a touche, which has happened so many times this race already, as he turns in to a rear tire and then we went a bit wide. But Joni Tormela going for a move on Patrick Sipos now as well. And Joni, you can see, just has so much more ERS, so I decided to go defensive into this fast right-hander. And now I just need to pray that I can get DRS from David Denitsa on that middle straight, because otherwise we're gonna be in big danger from Joni Tormela into the next right-hander. We're just about gonna get DRS, which is right there mid-corner, and that's why I push so hard on that entry to try and get DRS from David Denitsa. But luckily we're safe thanks to the DRS we got from David Denitsa there. And you know, once again a pretty average result for me. P6. Luckily for us, Lucas Blakely is only going to finish P3, and our teammate Danny Moreno is going to win the race for the first time this season, and we take the lead back from Red Bull in the Constructors' Championship. But there's another big loss for us in the Drivers' Championship. Freddie Rasmussen ahead of us now as well, and Lucas Blakely extends his championship lead to us. So we're P3 in the Drivers' standings, with USA coming up as round 9, and it's not looking good for us. But I hope you guys nonetheless enjoyed this F1 Esports round 8 highlights. Make sure to like and subscribe if you guys want to see more, and see you guys next time. Ciao.